Hello, Eagles. How are you all today? I hope y'all are doing well today. So, as you know, I am Ashley Rhodes. I am the Student Life Coordinator for the Northeast College, and we thank you all for being here with us today. So, today we're going to be talking about natural hair and debunking that myth that it's not professional. So, what I do want to let you guys know and just introduce you to our guest speaker for today. Today, we have Miss Tamika Fletcher, who is a leading curly hairstylist, natural hair and beauty expert. She's a salon owner, a hair care product manufacturer. She is a guru of all things, as I say, natural hair. In 2004, Miss Tamika founded Earth's Nectar Hair, a clean beauty brand in her kitchen to help clients repair dry, damaged curls and coarse strands. After years of working with curly hair and seeing the care that it requires, she launched Earth's Nectar. Earth's Nectar product was created based on the various needs of her clients' hair. Miss Tamika has also been a beauty expert for Fox 26 in Houston, on a variety of hair, beauty, DIY. You will catch her on through all of these holidays, creating all kinds of things on Fox 26. After 20 years in the industry, Miss Tamika has earned the respect of the natural hair community and healthy hair communities across the country. While currently managing a salon staff of 10 stylists, she has also grown the brand by expanding with retail partners including Sephora, Ulta Beauty, Macy's, J.C. Penney's, Urban Outfitters, Nordstrom's, Birchbox, Hot Look, Maslow Beauty Box, Australia, Onyx Beauty Box, and Essence Magazine Beauty Box. So she's all over the place, all over the world. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Miss Tamika Fletcher.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I've had an opportunity to meet you guys, some of you, maybe not. But like she said, I'm a salon owner. I've been in the business for about 20 years now, and I'm still learning. Every single day, I'm learning something new. I'm still figuring out what it takes to grow and scale a business, just like most of you are figuring out how to grow and scale and what your next steps are. But I'm really excited that you give me an opportunity to talk to you about natural hair and hair history today. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about hair history. I'm not sure if I should jump right into my presentation. Ashley, would you prefer I give a little more background first, or
You can jump right into your presentation. You can
okay?
Jump right in.
Okay. Well, I am very interested in how the evolution of our hair from Africa to African Americans and what that transition looked like. I think that to understand our hair now, you have to understand what our hair meant to us before historically. And looking at hair from a historical perspective is interesting because now you can really tie together our history as Africans, our new culture as African Americans, and how we pulled all those things together to form new culture and new styles and so many things that we do now, even in the workplace today or in our, personal time, however you decide to wear your hair. There's some amount of epic memory likely contributing to the, whatever your personal style is and whatever your beliefs are about hair. So I'd like to share with you a presentation. Give it my screen 1 second to load here. Okay. Ashley, is this visible?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. I always start this with a little letter to my hair. Dear hair, I'm sorry I burn you, cut you, and tie you up, but I will always love you. And I think we can probably all relate to some of the things that we do to our hair. But today I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about the root and the history of our hair. We won't be talking about procedures and techniques more than we'll be talking about the history of our hair. The indigenous people of Africa have always loved and honored their hair and assigned it great social, aesthetic, and mystical powers. Our styles have always possessed special meaning. And to me, when I think about that, I think about the fact that my grandmother used to say things like, you should not have more than 1 or 2 people that style your hair on a regular basis. You shouldn't throw your hair in the trash because you might get a headache, or you shouldn't allow anyone else to handle your hair. If they keep a piece of it, then something could happen to you. Now, whether or not you believe these things or not, the idea here is that we loved our hair beyond visual appearance. We definitely assigned social, aesthetic, and definite mystical powers when it came to the possibilities of our hair. When I talk about epic memory, I talk about things that you remember that are a part of either an oral history or a tradition that was passed down so long ago that we don't even remember the beginning of it, or it'd be really hard to trace the beginning of it. If you look at this photo, you see a man with a pick in his hair that looks like it's made from feathers, but we still use those same type of tools today. And this is an image that we could see hundreds of years ago, or an image that we could see now. And this is what I mean by tying together two definite histories and drawing the comparisons. We had a lot of styles that had different meanings. Different styles had different meanings based on what you were doing in society, who you were in society, what events were taking place. They marked special occasions. If men were going off to war, they wore particular styles for that. I love this picture because hair pieces, hats, and ornate styles established that you were also a community leader or royalty. I think one of the best examples of this would be one of our community leaders, Sheila Jackson Lee. If you think about the way that she wears her hair, I would definitely think that a certain amount of epic memory is contributing to her chosen hairstyle. If you think about the leaders in our church, and many times the first lady of the church will also have a very ornate or elaborate or significant hairstyle, and sometimes in the form of a hat, not necessarily a style, but something that sets her apart from the rest of the community. One thing that I loved about our old traditions is that not only were we into very ornate design, but we also use different things the same way we use extensions now. We like to add additions to the hair. Clay and red earth were used to decorate and dress the hair. And this reminds me very much of modern day hair extensions. The cultural significance was also extremely important. When we think about particular cultures and where you were from, certain cultures or certain areas had different styles based on who you were and what tribe you were from. And so in a way, you were able to identify one person from another person based on their hairstyle. But if we think about now, I think about when I see style of braids from different places. Maybe Detroit has a different style of braiding than maybe Houston. And if you pay close enough attention, you can almost see the difference. I know that a long time ago, I don't even know if it's a long time ago, but we call it micro braids. In other places, they call it zillions. And it's a very different type of style, a definite different style in the braiding technique. And so that's what I mean by cultural significance, also based on region. Babies and small children wore a single patch of hair. And if you weren't of dating age, to distinguish you from girls that were of dating age or of courting age, they would give you a different hairstyle, sometimes just a patch of hair on the top. But I love this tradition because it definitely distinguished girls of a certain age from other girls. The task of crafting the style could take several days or several hours. What I think is amazing about this is that we still spend a lot of time on styling. Sometimes I know some of you have probably heard of a style called sister locks that can take sometimes 16 hours. I've had styles that required 2 people and an entire day to create the style. And I'm mentioning all this because our hair was significant. It was significant beyond the fact that it was hair. We assigned it mystical powers. It established who we were in the community. It established children from adults, men going to war. Like, all of these are just great examples of how significant hair was. And it also represented a time of fellowship. If you think about the women who styled each other, they were friends bound together in a circle by fellowship. And many times I had a consultation with a client the other day who decided to remove her sister locks. But I also noticed that she and her sister was the one removing it, but she said they were taking turns, and there was three of them that were actually participating in this labor of love for this style that she wanted to create. And so many times there is a mother that will sit down in the evening and apply oil to your scalp when you're young, or comb your hair out. I know for me, my mother had a lot of sisters, and this was a bonding time between my mother, my sisters, my grandmothers. And I think that's a tradition for most of us. Traditional African hairdressers use handmade tools of natural materials such as wood, metal, or ivory. I, you know, Now, of course, we just walk into a beauty supply and buy the supplies that we need. But traditionally, our tools were made of things that could be passed down. The hairstylist in that community, before she moved to another community or before she passed away, she would pass the tools on to another stylist and also explain to her what the traditional styles were for that community so that she was able to move forward and create those looks. Of course, adding her own technique the same way that we do now, but definitely keeping in mind that all of those things were tradition, and even the passing on of the tools makes it very significant. There was a significant loss of tradition. I think that most of us have seen these images. One thing that I feel like is significant about these images is that upon entering the slave ship, the heads of the slaves or soon to be slaves were shaved. And this was significant because you couldn't tell one society from another. You couldn't tell if someone was Yoruba or not. You couldn't tell where that person was from. And it made the communication even more complicated because if you had hair, you could at least look across the ship and you would know that this person was from my community. But without hair, we had no idea, especially with the loss of language. Once we settled into our new lives, we had very little time to care about appearance. One moment. The proud halos of African men and women were hidden under rags and shame. And what I think is really sad about this is that we spent, like those images that you saw earlier, we spent a lot of time grooming and spending time creating styles. I am so sorry. Can someone tell me how to make this a full screen again?
Miss Jana, how does she make it full screen? She's still on. Hold on.
Oh, I thought it was full screen.
Yeah, because I can still see full screen here.
Okay, great. Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you for that. So one thing that really stands out to me are the type of tools that replaced our traditional tools. On the left, you see a beautiful image of a carved comb, one that was probably made and passed on from one stylist to another, but this was replaced by sheep cards. And sheep cards are the items that you see on the right, and those tools were actually used to comb the hair of sheep, but they used what was available because although we didn't have the same tools that we had before, the grooming was still extremely important. Women wore rags to make sure that they were presentable to the white population. And I think that when we don't, on Sundays, there were days that we actually had time, but for the most part, women wore heads wraps. They wore no skin out for many reasons that I'll get into just a little bit later. But Sundays were the days that we had an opportunity to stop. Whatever our religious preferences were, we had an opportunity to stop in fellowship, to groom each other. And what I take away from these days is that even now, my grandmother feels like Sundays are very significant days. This is going back to our epic memory, because on those days, she expected us to slow down, dress well on Sunday. She expected us to go to church. And when I was younger, some of these things I felt like, why do I have to dress up to go to church? But I also wanted to respect the idea that she was from a different time that appreciated Sundays for more than the fact that it was just a day of rest.
Miss Tamika, when you speak of that, I just had to say before I forgot, my grandmother used to tell me that. She says you're supposed to look nice on Sundays, like from your hair to your clothes, but that I was also brought up that way.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Mine too. It was a big deal, and I used to complain about it until I really understood, where she was coming from with her explanation of Sundays. Africans now referred to exclusively as slaves, as if life before slavery never existed. We began to mix language, beliefs to form a new form of African in American culture. So a lot of times when I refer to African Americans, I like to refer to us as Africans in America, because we've definitely taken merged together what our beliefs were what we had to do to survive, and taking those things and glorified them into what we have now. Because you think about the tools that we use now, the styles that we have now, where we lost tradition, we turned our lemons into lemonade, basically. When I look at herbal ointments made of palm and coconut oil that we used to use, that were readily available in our communities where we live, those things could be harvested. They were freely available. But to have those things replaced with kerosene, bacon grease, and those are the things that they use to soften hair, anything that you could find that was left over or not being used. And I just really wonder, how did you even come to realize that some of those items could be used for those purposes? And I definitely think that necessity is the mother of most inventions. When you really need it, you figure it out. Because even now, I could imagine that bacon grease might work. Would it be my first choice? No. But I don't know, kerosene, I think that was also more for cleansing, not just for softening. Women would also straighten their hair. There were different ways that you straightened your hair. They didn't have flat irons, obviously, but they still figured out ways to assimilate. And that's what the point of straightening the hair was not only to feel like you look nice, but also to assimilate. So a butter knife was heated in a can, or a piece of cloth was heated up over a flame and then tied over the hair really tightly to smooth it and straighten the hair out. There were also household products used to style hair. I thought this little mixture was interesting. It was a mixture of lye and potato. Originally, this mixture was used as a punishment, and you would dip the slave's head into this solution to cause pain. And ultimately, the slaves realized that it was also causing the hair to become straight. So what was meant as a punishment started to become a self-inflicted, I guess you could say, punishment to straighten hair. I guess it's hard to say punishment if you're actually doing it to yourself. But a skin color and hair texture hierarchy began to develop. A house slave sold for 5 times as much as a field slave at auctions. The wives of slave owners would cut off hair of the mulatto housewives, and a hair texture hierarchy began to develop in the slave community. Then and now, hair texture in the Black community has served as a true test for Blackness. The quest for straight hair was a quest for freedom and for privilege, not just because they wanted to, but it also represented this quest for freedom and for privilege. It signified free status, economic opportunity. Straight hair represented a lighter, less excruciating workload, access to better clothes, and education, and possible freedom. Most of the women who had those privileges were lighter skinned women, and many times children of the master who were referred to as having good hair by the white slave owners and other slaves. I was introduced as a hairstylist. And just going back to my training, I think about now there is a scale that we use to determine the texture of someone's hair. 1 being straight, 2 being wavy, 3 curly, and 4 coily. But to me, that's a difficult observation, because I've observed as many hair textures as I have fingerprints. Every single person has a different hair texture. So to try to fit something that's so vast into 4 categories is difficult, because we all have something different. We all have a different texture of hair, whether from straight to coily. But I think the reason for this, not just so that we can select hair products, but also people are still on a quest for texture, and sometimes we don't appreciate the texture we have, and not that it's healthy and not that it's thick, but because of the things that were epic memory, not by any fault of our own directly. Yes, we do make choices, but these things were, again, a quest for freedom and privilege. And if you think about now, it's not the same, but there are a lot of things that are very, very similar. The Emancipation Proclamation granted freedom to slaves in Confederate states on New Year's Day in 1863. The turn of the century ushered in the birth of a Black middle class with cash to spend. And the first thing that we wanted to do was straighten our hair. Madam C.J. Walker was one of the first Black female entrepreneurs in this country, and a woman that I look up to in terms, I don't know if any of you had a chance to see the movie on Netflix, Self-Made, but I really enjoyed the story of, her showing some of the reasons why she developed the product when and why she did. And she, interestingly enough, was the first freed woman in her family, or the first person that was born free in her family. So the first thing that she wanted to do was to make her people look as presentable as possible, not only for the sake of appearance, but also for job opportunities. We developed our own salons, we developed our own products, and these pictures signify the goal for what we wanted to look like, and what some of the first styles that we gravitated to. And this picture was taken in Dallas, Texas. And we started salons, it was as early as the early 1900s. And the first thing we wanted to do was to assimilate. Meanwhile, media continued to perpetuate Black stereotypes. If you see the pictures here, those are the type of images that, as we evolve from Africans to African Americans, it is, images like this that to me are very significant, because they really give the mood of the time. And I don't think I have to find many words for this. I mean, this photo is not representative, but at the same time, if these images are perpetuated and you see these images on a regular basis, it's hard to determine what's real and who you are as an African with these images. It was very intentional to desexualize the house slave. When I say desexualize, I mean skin covered, hair covered, no accentuation to the face. It was just the perpetuation of the idea that Black women need not be sexualized, because we were really only there to contribute to the household or for work. These are some images that are actually not as old as you might imagine, and these are from Disney. These images were cartoons, and so the perpetuation of these ideas started very early on. Even now, you can find images like this. I didn't know for the longest that Buckwheat was a girl. So that image on the right is a picture from I think it's Little Rascals, is the character that Buckwheat played. She was a character on Little Rascals. But you see Barack's face superimposed on top of her face on the right. And so even now, these images are still significant because people haven't forgotten. And you can, you just have to remember to separate these old images from the new Africans in America that we are now. The Black is Beautiful movement was one of the most significant times when it came to self-confidence, to hair esteem, to Black pride, to Blacks in America being comfortable, not only comfortable, but proud and very okay with our brown skin and our hair. But this took a very long time. We've gone all the way back from our entry into this country through the Middle Passage on a slave ship to this moment that you see in this picture. The Black is Beautiful movement was a cultural movement which began in the United States of America in the 60s. It aimed to dispel the widespread notion that Western cultures, that Black people's natural features such as skin, facial features, and hair were inherently ugly. The movement also encouraged men and women to stop straightening their hair and attempting to lighten or bleach their skin. The prevailing idea in American culture, perpetuated by the media, was that Black features were less attractive or less desirable than white features. The idea that Blackness was ugly was highly damaging to the psyche of African Americans, manifesting itself as internalized racism. So I have completed. I would love questions. I'm very excited to know what you guys think about some of the information that I've just been able to share with you. I'm going to stop and switch back over to my screen. Okay, great. I Ashley, am I able to take questions now? I'm really anxious to know some of the thoughts. And
Yes, we can. So you guys can actually unmute yourselves and ask any questions that you may have for Miss Tamika. So yeah, if you have some questions, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Miss Tamika. I just wanted to know, were you aware of the stylist Isis in Dallas, Texas?
yes, I have heard lots about Isis. I'm really proud of what she's been able to do in terms of leveraging, her platform for, giving us opportunities to have, getting rid of the license for one thing, because I think that it's really hard to, teach someone something that could be a part of their epic memory. I know when I went to my cosmetology, the state board exam, I have to say, I was doing a natural hairstyle. I think I did some kind of, no, actually, we had a competition in class. I did lock extensions, and my professor told me it looked like Medusa. I thought it was beautiful. So, it's just
beautiful.
every perspective is different. So I'm really glad that now she's, and in the Crown Act, that's one of those other, moments in natural hair history that I'm proud that's happened, because it's really time for diversity. It's 2021. We should all be a little bit, kinder to each other when we don't understand the difference. And versus discriminating, maybe trying to understand what the perspective of that person's style. But yes, Isis is an amazing stylist. I think she's Erykah Badu's stylist, who I absolutely love.
And so, I think she was trying to come out with a movie or a document to talk about that whole thing when she fought for the not having to have a braiding license. And I think she's the reason why we don't need a braiding license. I believe so, because I remember she went to jail and she fought. But yeah, she's coming out with a movie for that.
I would love to see this. So I hadn't heard about it, but I will keep my ear to the streets, because I definitely want to check that out.
She's on Instagram. You can follow her. That's how I get the information. I follow her on Instagram, and I was like really just in love with everything that she's doing. I was like, wow. But yeah, I found her through following Erykah Badu, because I love everything about our culture. So I love Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill, and Andy Reid. Those are some of my little idols that are, famous, that I like to look up to, and I learned a lot from them. But yeah, that's how I got onto Isis, was actually following Erykah Badu, and I learned a little bit more about our history that I was very grateful for, because she does a lot still to this day.
Well, I'm gonna have to follow her, because I'm very interested in that. I would love to see a movie, and I think so many of us have stories that we haven't told, and so I'm glad that she's pushing forward and giving us an example, because there's so many stories out there of women that have actually had to be, fired from their jobs, or not hired, or, actually just, I've had clients come in to straighten their hair for an interview because they were too afraid to walk into the door with their natural hair. And so those type of things have to end. You should be able to walk through the world confidently the way you were born. It's not a birth defect, and to have it treated like that is it's past. That's we should all have evolved, but we'll see. I think the Crown Act and people like Isis are making it a lot easier.
My mom was raised and came up in the 60s and in the 70s, so it was big afros, it was big hair. And my grandmother, when my mom graduated from college, she told her, you going on your job interview, go straighten your hair, go in the kitchen and straighten your hair. And so she had to have her hair straightened, because my grandmother says they're not going to hire you like that, but that's what she was. And for the longest, she said, I put a perm in my hair, I straightened my hair, and it wasn't until she got older that she went back to being natural. It's like, I'm not doing that no more. That's not what I'm about.
Because the perm have damaged a lot of our hair. I'm one of those people, my mom kept perming my hair when I was younger. As I got older, I made a decision for myself to go natural. But I realized from getting those perms, I have permanent damages to my hair. Even though my natural hair grows very beautiful, but I do have some damages to my hair from those perms and those flat irons, and just being over processed. So I've experienced that myself, burning out my hair, trying to straighten my hair for school, trying to get cute. But I love my natural hair. I love my braids and my natural hair.
When you say that, it makes me just touch the top of my hair, because I used to get chemical burn so badly right in the top. My hair would literally be stuck to a 3rd-degree burn. I would tell the stylist that it's burning, and she would say to me, it's not straight. And I'm thinking to myself, how does one have to do with the other one? And she would say, well, let me spray a little oil sheen on it. That'll make it feel better. I'm like, is this a trick? Because that definitely did not make my scalp feel any better.
And we can, all of us can relate to that saying, hey, beauty is pain. How many of us heard that? They would tell us, beauty is pain, beauty is pain. So we sitting there getting our hair burnt out.
Right. And even at the end of all that, I would get a wrap, and my hair was so thick that it would never dry on the inside. So I'm talking about hours and hours and hours
I'm trying to
the hair dryer. Oh, I mean, we suffered. I mean, if you think about a metal tool that you lay in fire the way we used to do it, wave the smoke off of the comb
and press,
you know, put it in a white towel or some type of towel to get some of the heat off, and then put that next to your skin, all for the sake of straight hair. And that's why I like to talk about the initial reason why we were on that quest for straight hair. It wasn't for nothing. It definitely had its benefits, just like it does now. But I think that now so many people, like you named some of my idols. I remember seeing Lauryn Hill in a Fuji video. I had to have my hair like that. Just had to. I had a perm. I tried to twist it with beeswax. I knew nothing. I'm that old. There was no social media. There was no influencers. You have to ask people. You know, you have to actually walk up and talk to people. So yeah, we've come a very long way. But even in the last 10 years, I would say we leaped forward 20 years when it comes to the evolution of our hair. It used to be, if I walked into a restaurant 20 years ago, I might spot one or two women with natural hair, and it's like a little secret sorority, and we'd speak to each other from across the room. But now when I walk into a place, the majority of the women there are natural. And I don't think it's a trend, it's a lifestyle.
I love it. I went natural years back, and then even when I went natural, I was still getting it straightened because of, again, what are people gonna think? And I was like, man, forget it. This is my texture. This is what you're gonna get. And I mean, I absolutely love it. It's liberating, and to see that I'm in a workplace that does embrace it. Like, I can go through HCC and see tons of women with natural hair, and then even our associate vice chancellor, our vice chancellor, her hair is blonde and it's natural and it's short, and I mean, it's gorgeous. And she sits in and rocks her meetings and everything with her natural blonde hair.
And I love that. And that's the thing about the Crown Act, is because women like that should be able to be representative in their workplaces, and not to be discriminated against. And having that example makes such a big difference for a student, or for, you know, anybody that's, you know, in a position of authority, and you have other people that can look up to you and see that not only are you a boss, but you're also natural. So to me, that brings tears to my eyes, because I'm telling you, it's changed. It definitely, I remember a woman coming to me that wanted to become a firefighter, or women that were in the Army that would come to me to get their hair cut off because they literally just could not wear it. They, you know, there were reasons, but they couldn't. They, you know, if your hair protruded 1 inch from your scalp, I guess that was part of the rules for the military for a really long time. And so now to see that things are changing so much, I think we all remember the high school student just recently. They didn't want him to graduate because he didn't fit into the rule book for what hair was supposed to look like. Even though, oh, go ahead. You know, I just couldn't believe it.
I was going to say the little girl that couldn't take her school pictures because she had hair extensions in her hair. So it's a lot of things, you know. But I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was done. Don't get me started talking about this, because we definitely have come a long way, but we have a long way to go. And each one of us can, you know, educate people when we get an opportunity gently. You know, when I'm asked about my hair, I take that as an opportunity. I don't get upset about it, but I definitely, you know, answer questions. I don't do the touching. Don't touch don't touch. But I'll answer questions all day.
Ms. Carol, do you have a question? I see you had your hand up. You might raise your hand.
I don't know if I have a question, but I'm 74.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm an instructor and an adjunct. I graduated from Texas Southern University, in 1971 or something like that. During the time that I was a student there, there was a lot of what I guess somebody might call it unrest,
Mm,
but there was a lot of protesting going on at the school, and it was almost on a daily basis. Out in front of at the time, Wheeler Avenue went straight through TSU, and you got off the bus in front of Lanier Hall. Not Lanier Hall, the big building. Anyway, so I'm also crazy. So anyway, so please bear with me. There's so many things you can remember in 50 years.
Was it Wheeler's Church? Wheeler Church? By
Do I
TSU?
belong to Wheeler? Yes, I belong to Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church.
No, I was asking, was it Wheeler Church where they was getting off at? I was trying to help you.
No, ma'am. They were getting off at Texas Southern University.
Oh.
I don't know if you've ever been through Texas Southern,
mhm.
but if you go through there, you will get I don't know, you will park in the back of the school, and you can walk through, and you'll be in a park like. Well, that park wasn't always a park. There was a street going through there. It was Wheeler Avenue. It went straight through Texas Southern University.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember this. Does anybody know about this?
I
I
used to
do.
live on. I live.
I wasn't around, but I've heard because I used to live on Wheeler
Yeah.
for a lot of years. I still live right off of Wheeler, so I
I
know
live.
exactly.
Uh,
I live on Wheeler at TSU.
I know exactly what you're
Okay.
talking about.
And anyway, so when I was a freshman, I'm from Houston, but for some reason I just moved over to Lanier Hall, which was the freshman female dorm.
There.
While I was there, yeah, there was a lot of unrest almost on a nightly basis. And if you know the song Dancing in the Street, da-da, dancing in the street, that song there,
Mhm.
we did that, trying to get Wheeler Avenue closed. That was the objective.
Mhm.
We protested a lot of other things, many other things.
Was there a
Uh,
reason that was
It
there
was
an event or something that happened that why they wanted it closed?
yeah, the reason that we wanted it closed was that the girls' dormitory was on Wheeler Avenue, which was Lanier Hall. They were fresh, many of them were freshmen, um, girls. And we were being harassed by the people who passed through there. I
Mhm.
mean, men did not fail to block the street so they could talk to girls. The mini skirt had just come out. At the time, no self-respecting Black woman would go anywhere without having her hair straight.
Mhm.
There was a place in front of the student union building that was lower than the rest of it. It was called the pit.
Mhm.
Speakers would get in the pit and talk to us, and we stood outside the pit, meaning that we were standing above them. And that was where we first heard, that was in 1968, I believe, 67. Okay, 66 to 67. That was where we first heard that it was okay to be Black.
Mm.
um, that was where we first heard that our hair was okay. Uh, Coming up to that, I can't say my hair is soft, but my father's father was from Cuba. He was quite Hispanic, white looking, and I don't know anything about him. That's about all I know. So you might imagine how mixed my hair is. It's and But my sister's hair wasn't like that. It was quite kinky. And mother didn't tell me that I had good hair. She never told me that. As a matter of fact, I'm just now finding this out at 74. I'm serious. And it's falling out. I've lost so much hair that I really almost don't have any hair.
But
And
Miss,
I'm just finding out. But my sister got to go to the beauty shop, and I felt so deprived because I couldn't go to Miss Goods,
you
the
know,
beautician.
that whole thing about the good hair and bad hair, and I know a lot of people, talk about it. Oh, her hair is good. Her hair is good. Her hair is bad. And it's like, no, no, it's not bad. Our hair is all good. It's just different textures. It's just different lengths. It's different colors. I know a couple of times I've had to correct people going out and say, oh, she got bad hair. What's bad hair? How is that bad? Please tell me, did it come in a
Well, yes, that is my question. That
Mhm.
was it. It still well. They explained it to us that what made your hair good. This was explained to me in 1967, 66. Anyway, that my hair was good, and the reason that it was good was because, and I didn't understand that they were telling me that I had it. I was crazy, but that it was closer to a white person's hair than some other people's hair. Not that I knew what a white person's hair was like, because I went through cashmere and MW Dogan, cashmere, and Texas Southern. And I never went to school with anybody white. I
Mhm.
never really knew anybody white. Our next door neighbor was white. But I thought they did they just pressed their hair every day.
Mhm.
And
yeah, the press was the thing. Let me ask, guys, are there any other questions? Because we don't want to hold Miss Tamika. She actually is at
Oh,
her
okay.
warehouse. She's working. We didn't cut into her work time. But Miss Tamika, someone asked if they could actually follow you. Like, do you have like social media where they can follow you?
Oh, yes. I had an Instagram page that someone was kind enough to delete, so I have a new one. It's Tamika Fletcher underscore and Earth Nectar, EARTHSNECTAR. Earth Nectar is our Earth underscore Nectar is our Instagram. Also, you can follow us at Natural, the letter R, and Salon. On the Natural R Salon site, we post a lot of styles, just different looks that you can create with natural hair. Earth's Nectar is our hair care line of, clean beauty, skin and hair care from everything from shampoos, conditioners, styling agents, twist out creams, all of that you can find at Earth's Nectar. Also at earthsnectar.com. I would love for you guys to DM me, send me messages. I am the person that manages the social media. It's not a company, a separate company from us. It's actually me. And so I love getting your questions, and I'd love to hear back from you guys. And it's so nice to meet all of you. And those of you that I can't see, I know that I'm still getting used to the Zoom thing. I'm used to touching people and hugging people. So I'll give y'all a virtual hug.
Thank you so much, Miss Tamika. Oh, someone says if you can share the address of your salon.
Sure, 4715 LaBranch, Houston, Texas. We are available right now by appointment only due to COVID. That's my, I say that at least 5 times a day now. But you can always send us a message at 713-528-7102, and we will text you back information, or you could actually book an appointment at apothecaryhaircare.com. It is a booking site, a link there to book, and you can see the stylist and all of our availability.
Someone in the chat just says, I'm from Pakistan and have normal straight hair, but was wanting to know if I can get the braids, if she can get braids.
Absolutely. I was just looking yesterday at natural hair. A part of our name is Earth's Nectar. I'm very curious about natural hair all over the world. And I was looking at a stylist yesterday in China who is bringing all of these amazing braided styles one of a kind braided styles really, an Asian hair is a lot of times very straight. And so I'd imagine very similar to your hair. So I think that, yes, I know for sure you could absolutely, that's a beautiful thing about braids and natural hairstyles. It's not limited to one culture. We can all create natural styles and do twist outs and curls and braids and whatever your heart desires, really.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Tamika, for being here with us again. Miss Tamika came years back when I first started at Northline to speak to our students in cosmetology, and she gave a great presentation then. She gives a great presentation now. So we definitely got to keep you in our Rolodex of guest speakers.
Definitely. I'd love to come back. And Miss Carol Wade, it was such a pleasure to meet you and to hear your story. I'd love to also talk to you if you're interested. One of the things I specialize in is hair loss. So I'd like to get
I took your phone number down.
Okay, great.
No, I didn't. I just took 713.
It's 528-7102. If you'd like to, you can come in and have a scalp analysis, and I can take a microscopic look at your scalp and send those images to you so that maybe in 6 months we can compare and see what's happening. But whatever I can do to help, but definitely send a text.
Well, I thought it had something to do with, I'm not going to tell you anything, anemia, but it might be anything. So 528 what?
7102.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you all
so if I give you a call on your cell phone or whatever they call the cell phone now,
you can text that number.
Okay.
And then I'll send you my phone number. That's not my phone number, it's the salon, but I'm happy to share.
Yes, I understand.
And actually you have my personal info, and if you have Miss Carol's info, you can maybe help connect us, but I'm happy to share my personal number. That's fine.
Miss Carol, I'm gonna email it to you, your work email. Is that okay?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much.
I'll do that after we
get
off.
I love your hair. Who is this? HCC Life. I like that.
Thank you.
During when I'll tell you later, you call me, but in February when we have Black History at my church, my church is just Black History crazy. And I always wear something like that on my hair. So, and I have a reason to. I'll tell you about it later.
I will show you. I got you get my contact information so I can share with you how I tie. It's just a regular scarf.
It is stunning. I love it too. Beautiful.
Thank you. Eagles. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for being
here. Okay, then. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Miss Carol. I'm gonna send you the information. Eagles, thank y'all for being here with us today. We got plenty of more stuff coming this week. We got Wonder Woman Wednesday. We're doing a whole week of women this week. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you visit Eagle Experience. We're gonna get y'all points too to redeem for y'all stuff. So thank you. Thank you, Miss Tamika. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.